Hey guys, today we're going to talk about breathing and the necessity of having really good oxygenation around us. Okay, so there's a lot to cover in this. I'm only going to touch on some of the most salient points, and I'm also going to give you some instructions of how to make sure that the devices that you have in your home are as clean as possible, providing you the best air quality possible. Okay, so I'm Dr. Tim with Optimized Wellness Center, and we're going to go through a variety of these things. I've got some notes here to make sure to share that I don't miss any of these points, and I'm sharing all of this important stuff with you. So for us, oxygen's really, really important. For every cell in your body, you need three things. Just like when you went camping and you lit a campfire, you needed three things. You need to make sure that there's some kind of energy source or kindling for that fire. We also need to make sure that there's a spark, a mechanism being able to ignite the fire. And thirdly, there has to be oxygen. Every cell in your body needs those same three things. So the kindling in this context is going to be glucose or fats predominantly. This is the energy source that your body will utilize to be able to make sure that you can do all the functions that you want to do on a given daily basis. Okay, so then the spark is going to be the neurology. This is how your body fires and ignites that. And so it uses those signals to be able to make sure that it receives it accurately and then sends a response back and says, yes, we completed the task, whatever that was. Okay? And then thirdly, we need oxygen. And that's oxygen, good old oxygen, O2 for that matter. So the air we are breathing is somewhere between around 10 to 25% oxygen, O2. The rest of it is a variety of other different gases and different things in that air. So in more urban environments, we tend to have lower oxygen levels as it relates to the volume of the air. And then in more rural environments, we have higher oxygen values as it relates to the percentage of what it is for the air that you're breathing. Okay? So we utilize some specific techniques and technologies in our office to be able to enhance the amount of oxygen that people are receiving and utilizing. Because we know that many different disease processes and ailments, one of the common factors is a decreased amount of oxygen in that specific area or in that tissue, or etc. So if you're interested in those things, I encourage you to look below at some of the other videos so that you can check those out and see how we utilize those. And those are utilizing some enhanced oxygen techniques. In particular, in this context, we're talking about ozone therapy, but it could also be utilizing things like hydrogen peroxide, which can be another technique to be able to get increased amounts of oxygenation. Okay, so if you are not breathing air, which includes oxygen, the brain, for just 1 minute, your brain cells can start to change. Now, granted, there are some individuals who have exceptionally good lung capacity and they can retain that for very long periods of time when they're diving or they're in cold environments, etc., and I am familiar with that. But generally speaking, even after 1 minute, there are going to be some changes to someone's brain, and the likelihood of survival starts to diminish. And so after 3 minutes, serious brain damages can start to take effect. With 10 minutes, brain cells will definitely start to die, and this could cause long-term effects for that individual. And they are starting to be unlikely to recover. So if you ever see someone stopping to breathe, dial immediately 911. Okay, after 15 minutes, it is virtually, you can assume that almost all individuals will have died if they are not breathing. So that's just the specific context associated with our ability to be able to breathe, getting air in through our nose and our mouth. It then goes to our lungs, where it combines with blood, and is then transported to our heart and pumped through our body. And it's dropping it off at every organ, cell, and tissue, all the way down to the distal parts of our hands and our feet, and every other tissue in our body. Now, it then has to bring back CO2 and other kinds of toxins, which are going to be cleansed through our kidneys. So it's really important that we get as clean air as possible so that we can offload some of the responsibility that the kidneys would otherwise be doing, so that it's not as exceptionally hard a task. Now that's also true for our nasal cavity, where we actually do a variety of filtration, and then in our lungs, where there's even more filtration that takes place in those deep alveoli, those little capsules. Maybe you remember that in some of the science classes. So it's really important that we're making sure that we're looking into how clean is the air that we are utilizing. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit more insight here, and I'm going to rattle off some of this a little bit quicker, okay? Okay guys, so I told you I was going to share with you some of these tips and tricks as well as some things to look out for. So I've got it here on the screen, so apologize if my eyes are darting, but I wanted to make sure to cover a lot of content here. So again, we're going to be talking about, in particular in this instance, about how to improve the indoor air in your home, which is where a lot of people are spending a considerable amount of time these days. Now, this could be true whether you're in your home or you're in your office or some other kind of enclosed environment. And again, we want to make sure that it's as healthy and sustainable place as possible, where you can rest, digest, repair, and rejoice with your family and your inner kingdom. And so what I'm speaking to there is the parasympathetic nerve system. Now, I've done some other videos talking about that as well, so go down below and check out those if you're interested in that. Okay. So for many people, they experience ill effects when they breathe in perfumes and scents. Air fresheners, car deodorizers, lemon fresheners, pine-scented, wood cleaning products, as well as Febreze and other kinds of manufactured products that attempt to cover up bad chemical odors or other kinds of odors in the home. Choose an unscented, hypoallergenic personal care products, all those, and household products when you're thinking about how to clean your home or the way in which you want to present your home. You can get these online, you can get them at many big box stores, as well as in health food stores and other places of your choice. Read the labels carefully, guys. If you can't pronounce it, it probably is a chemical, and it probably isn't going to be the best thing for you. So what I'm talking about are things like this, where you're going to be cleans and dusts very fast, non-wax. Or when you're talking about things like this, that people are spraying all over their homes, their cars, they're putting it even into their detergent. And so there are so many chemicals inside of here, I can't even read that. It's so small, the amount of material that they're trying to put in here. Basically it says, it's harmful, be careful. So there are all kinds of things that you want to avoid, like chlorine, ammonia, methyl chloride, phenol, nitrobenzenes, formaldehyde, cresol. The list goes on and on and on. These are all what's called xenobiotics. Basically, they're chemicals and they're volatile chemicals which are harmful that are being utilized. So I also want to encourage you guys to consider, are you using any kind of pesticides, insect repellents, or mothballs inside of your home that can attack living cells, which is what you're probably purchasing them for, but they can also be neurologically damaging to humans? Not good. Okay, so please be cognizant of that. And then when you're bringing home the clothes from the dry cleaner, you want to make sure to take off the bag that's over them and then allow them to breathe in ideally outside first before you bring them into the home. If nothing else, at least take off the bag and start to let it volatilize into the environment so it'll disperse into a further area. Okay, so there's a variety of harmful chemicals typically found in those. Don't have your rugs or your curtains chemically cleaned if at all possible, because those are also going to be off-gassing into your home environment. I would suggest you use things like baking soda and vinegar. These work especially well as deodorizing. You can also use ozone techniques to be able to do this, and I have shown some other videos below that you can look at for that information. So think about things like computers and printers and copiers should really not be in your bedroom. I don't know who puts them in their bedroom, but please do not do that, because they actually release a whole host of chemicals into the air that are especially deleterious and harmful for our lungs. Don't smoke, don't paint, don't renovate, or expose yourself to chemical toxins, especially if you are pregnant. Really bad time, because of the neonatal material that's inside of you. That baby is not able to be able to deal with these kinds of things. Okay, and so this is also true for children under the age of 1. I want you to inspect and maintain all the fuel burning equipment inside of your home and appliances, as well as the chimneys and the flue that you would use regularly to make sure that they are releasing all those fumes and toxins and there's sufficient airflow. If you have fiberglass ductwork or fiberglass lined ductwork, it would be really advisable that you replace that. Also, removing the fiberglass fibers from your furnace and the central air conditioner and then replacing it with healthier materials. And the reason is those can break off in what's called as friolate and get into your lungs, and they can cause a host of different kinds of diseases that are not reversible. Okay, so direct vents in all the combustion exhausts to the outside is really important. So that means like your gas stove, gas fireplace, gas dryers, and make sure that these are really cleaned and allowing for that airflow. Replacing vinyl shower curtains is another important one. And you want to replace it with cotton or some other non-volatile material or chemical. VOC free, volatile chemicals especially. So the vinyl and plastics off-gas more VOCs in the heat and humidity of a shower. So you would want to avoid that vinyl and plastics and replace the plastics with lucite furniture or lamps and storage furnitures and plastic kitchen appliances in solid woods and replacing it with solid wood, glass, metals, or stone furniture as well. So beware of synthetic foam mattresses as well. So they use a polyurethane stuffed upholstery and chemical treated fabrics and drapery, vinyl wallpaper and paste and carpet adhesives, wood paneling and insulation can all off-gas significantly, and these will produce amounts of toxic substances, and especially when they're new. So be very careful of those. And so you would want to open up all your windows. If you can avoid it, open up all your windows and make sure to remove all of the gases, turning on fans and other vents. Another mechanism is utilizing ozone that will also make sure to remove and kill off all of that. Okay. So you want to make sure to replace particulate matter in your home as well, because they use a variety of glues inside of those. So make sure to be cognizant also of nearby diesel buses or cars or smokestacks, fiberglass, asbestos, lead dust, candles, cigarettes, oil heat, as well as kerosene, wood-burning stoves and fireplaces all increase your levels of particulate in your home. So if you have any of those things in your home or nearby, then you need to be particularly careful about that and how you're going to clean your home. So you want to use a HEPA, H-E-P-A, HEPA air filtration system that controls particulate. And so you want to use as strong a HEPA as possible to remove those particulate, the smoke, the pollen, the air dander, these kinds of things. And so this would be really important. And if you have a basement, you want to evaluate it for mold. And so HEPA will not pick up the mold, and so you're going to have to use something else like an activated carbon or charcoal to be able to pick up those gases. That mold fits into that category there, especially for this. So you want to make sure to identify if there's any kind of moisture or mold problem, and the moisture should be between 30 and 60%. Change and disinfect standing water with dehumidifiers, and make sure to clean out humidifiers, the refrigerators, and the drip pans and air conditioners that could all harbor mold. And so you make sure that you're cleaning those properly and regularly. So you want to make sure to do that on a regular basis. Have your heat and cooling system professionally inspected. And so this makes sure that they're including the air intake, the room air supply. Is it appropriate for the size and the volume of that room? the return grills, the air filters, the air handlers, as well as the drain pans. There's a lot of stuff in there, and that is pretty unique systems, and you really need to make sure that you hire a professional to be able to do that. You are not going to be able to access those areas and know all the quality of that, more than likely, unless you are trained. The bedroom is the most important room to keep toxin free. And so when you're sleeping, your body should go into a state of rest and repair and digestion. This is parasympathetic nerve system that's turning on. So if you've looked at some of my other videos, I've talked extensively about sympathetic running from the bear, fight, or flight, and the parasympathetic rest and digest and repair phase. And so if there's anything going on in that environment that's keeping you from being able to achieve that state, you are going to become unhealthy very quickly, and it's going to be very challenging for you, unfortunately. We can help you, but I encourage you to consider this first. So you want to make sure that you are doing everything possible to combat and remove those toxins. And cracking open a window at night and allowing some fresh air in will help. Will be ideal, because typically there's less pollution at night in the outside environment. So that's a great time to be able to get that in. It's important to get that outside air every day. And you need to go outside as well every day so that you can get more oxygen. You're getting natural sunlight onto your skin so you can accumulate and manufacture of vitamin D, where you're converting that cholesterol into that hormone, boosting your immune system and synchronizing your biologic clock with that sunlight, and utilizing that for proper sleep patterns as well, where you can start to regulate hormones, promoting a healthy attitude and mood, boosting your immune system. Open your blinds and curtains during the day and let that natural light inside of that room, and so that the room can start to utilize some of that light as best as possible. Using full spectrum incandescent lights can also be helpful as well, because it mimics the outdoor environment. All right, guys, so I just went through a very long list for you. If any of you are experiencing any challenges associated with breathing, respiratory conditions, or other kinds of detoxification issues, we've got some other videos below, or contact us so we can help you out. Now, the second part of this is I'm going to show you exactly how to clean some of these filtration systems that you might have in your home. I've accumulated a few of them just to give you a couple tips and tricks here, okay? So bear with me a second, and we're going to step outside and look at those. All right, so I told you I was going to show you how to clean some of these things. It's not that hard, but you have to actually take the time and maybe read the instructions. If some of you, that would be helpful. And make sure that you're doing this on a regular basis. I live in an urban environment, and I've got all kinds of pollutants in the air. In spite of living near the coast, there still are a lot of pollutants because it is a major urban area. And I like to have my windows open. And so to do that, I also have to now clean the air, as I described earlier. So we've got a whole host of different kinds of filtration systems, air filtration systems or cleaning systems. So this one here, I have to take this entire cartridge out, and then with this, I actually have another mechanism where I can then take this off, and I'm outside because I want to get rid of all this, and I'm just, you can maybe even see all the dust coming off. I want to do this outside, so I'm not putting this back into my home. So I'm going to just clean off. This is a toothbrush. I'm just cleaning off this entire surface here. Now I'm going to go through the grates in this, and I'm using that same toothbrush, and I'm trying to just clean this up as much as I can to clean that off. And there's a whole bunch of stuff coming off of this here. It's quite amazing, actually. I hadn't done this in probably been a couple of months now. So I would keep going through. There's another filter on this here, which is actually a charcoal, it's an activated kind of filtration system for gases. And so this one in particular, I would want to make sure to try and let it sit out in the sun, but it's a little harder for me to brush this off. I can do a little bit of that, but it's a little bit harder. So sometimes I use compressed air, and I would spray through this and clean that off. I can also do that for inside of here, and I can clean this off really quickly as well. That's a really efficient way of being able to do that. Now, for this system, I would probably also want to get inside of the cavity here, and I can use that same toothbrush and I can loosen things up and then make sure to clean this environment. I can then also come through and spray with some of this compressed air. Super helpful tool here. So I want to share with you a couple of other filtration systems as well that I have utilized. All right, so I've got another box one that sits on the floor. Now this one, it comes off here, all right, no big deal. Now, there's actually a fair amount of dust that has accumulated in these little vent holes. So what I've done is I've actually wet chamois. Everyone probably has a ShamWow. If you don't, you need to get one. Now I can clean this surface in here and get off all of this dust that I can't get off otherwise. Now, I want to make sure that this is totally dry before I put it back on and turn it on, because otherwise it's just going to attract all the dust and it's going to glue it in there. All right, so I've got that taken care of. And then the remainder of this, I have a couple of other filters here. So the first one, I'm going to try and remove here. I've got two little plugs. Okay, so again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove all the dust that's on here like this. Okay, so I would go through and I would clean each and every one of those quadrants and potentially utilizing some of the compressed air. Now, I have a couple of other filtrations in here. This is an activated material that helps to attract the gases. Now, it's probably hard for you to tell the color distinction between that and this, but this is completely covered in dust. It's going to be a little bit hard for me. I can go through and get some of this off this way. You can probably even see some of the changes that I've already made here. But I may need to replace this as well on a regular basis. Behind that is this HEPA filter, and this HEPA filter, as you can see here, is what is picking up a lot more of that particulate. Now this is looking relatively good because I'm pretty efficient about cleaning these things, but if I needed to, I would go through, and I have ordered additional filters, so I would come in here and I would make sure, because I probably do need to replace this one. So I have a package of these. These act essentially as like a pre-filter of sorts. And then I have some more of the HEPA filters as well that go behind that. So I'm going to replace those on a regular basis to make sure that I'm getting as clean air as possible coming through that. Now I keep that in my bedroom right next to my bed because there's a window there as well, so that I can capture as much as possible, make sure it's super clean. Okay guys, we got one more that I'm going to show you guys before we finish up here. So this one is actually a filter that, this is actually a UV light filtration system, and you can probably see how much dust is in the front there. Oh God, gross. So what I need, I've already unscrewed it to make sure that I could show the video accurately, efficiently here. So I'm taking this off. Now I can go back through and clean this as well, because what we notice is that there's always some dust that accumulates on these surfaces. Now inside of here, there's a couple of other vents and filters, and then there's a big UV coil here. Now the UV coil I have to be especially careful of because it's glass, and so I want to make sure that I'm really protecting that. But I can come and I can take out this filter here, which is now proving to be a little bit difficult. Yeah, there we go. And I can spray off a lot of the dust that's in here. Oh gosh, a lot of stuff coming off there. So that's one thing I can do. And then also, I want to come inside of here and I want to clean off all these surfaces. So what I can do with this brush, I'm going to do it. And then what I can't do with that, I'm going to use this as well. All right, guys, so that was just a little bit of tips and tricks about how to make sure you have the cleanest air possible. If this was helpful, please share it with someone. If you've got any questions, write those comments below and we'll make sure to respond to those. And check out some of our other videos. We've been trying to provide a lot of really helpful content to you all. And if you want for us to be able to assist you directly, please reach out to us at optimizewellnesscenter.com. Once again, this is Dr. Tim with Optimized Wellness Center. I'll look forward to connecting with you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.